Hey, good day, potheads and political junkies. You're watching CN Live with Jeremiah Vandermeer, editor of Cannabis Culture. This is Cannabis Culture News Live from our lovely location here, CCHQ, on the Pop Block in Vansterdam. And we got a great show for you guys today. On the show today, by phone, Jeffrey Steinborn, who is with Sensible Washington. He's the co-author of the legalization effort there. So we don't get that crazy sound. And as you viewers of the show know, I produce the show as we're going, so hopefully there won't be too many little hiccups here. Let's see how we're doing. I just want to make sure we're all going here. Yes, we are. We look like we're live and everything seems to be working. All right, guys. If you are watching the show from the front page of Cannabis Culture or other places, you can join actually the chat on Cannabis Culture by basically clicking this little button here. If you're anywhere but the Ustream page, you can click the little button there, and that'll take you to a page where you can sign in and you can chat along with the show. Now, let me just see, I just want to quickly do something here. I'm going to be fiddling in the background for a few seconds here as the show gets started before we get into some news. And of course, as usual, at 4:20, we're going to puff down. And huge news to start off with today. Really big news here in Canada. Bill S-10, the Conservative bill that would bring mandatory minimum sentences to Canada. The Liberal Party of Canada has decided to oppose it. They've announced now officially that they're opposing Bill S-10, which is absolutely fantastic. Anybody who's been following the issue on Cannabis Culture knows that we've been given the Liberals shit for not making an official declaration about what they're going to do yet. I wrote a blog post a week ago telling Michael Ignatieff that they should make marijuana policy a priority. He had said in a town hall meeting that it wasn't really a priority and they weren't dealing with it. But I'm so glad to see them step up and oppose this bill. And really what this means is if the NDP, the Bloc, and the Liberals are all opposing this bill, it's going to be very, very hard for this bill to pass our House of Commons. It's already made it through the Senate. So the Conservatives are betting on some of the Liberal members straying from the party whip and doing their own thing and actually still voting for it. So this really, it's not totally over yet. Hopefully these Liberals do not support it. It seems like there's pressure on the individual Liberals to not. You can contact the Liberals, where there's information on the front page of Cannabis Culture. If you go to liberals.ca, or I think it's liberal.ca, something like that, I'll put in the show notes. You can go there and tell the Liberals not to vote for Bill S-10. Tell them all individually. We got to contact these MPs because they could still really pass this bill. You know, they already passed it before when it was C-15 last time around, but luckily the Conservatives prorogued Parliament and killed that. So that was just a lucky break we had last time that the Parliament was basically stopped and the bill itself died. So. We need to definitely, but I wanted to read you actually some of the press release. This is the Liberal press release, and it reads, Liberals oppose Bill S-10 as Conservatives hide mounting prison costs. See, now that's really been behind this new move by Michael Ignatieff and the Liberals. It's these mounting prison costs. So the Conservatives, by putting in these mandatory minimum sentences, would really be jacking up the numbers of people in jail by huge numbers, a whole bunch. They want $2 billion in the next few years just to pay for the maintaining those prisons and adding new beds. So they really were ready to put a whole bunch of non-violent Canadians in jail for their own profits. I can't say that enough. That's what this Conservative government wants to do. They want to put non-violent Canadians in jail, and they're benefiting from this. They use it as a political issue, a tool to whip up support and get their base activated, and they also have a lot of contractor friends who maintain those prisons. You know, this stuff doesn't happen for free. That $2 billion goes somewhere, and that goes into the pockets of private contractors and the people who build these prisons and maintain them. So, okay, let me go on to the press release here. Liberals oppose Bill S-10 as Conservatives hide mounting prison costs. The Liberal Party of Canada announced today that it will oppose Bill S-10 over concerns that the bill disproportionately targets youth and would cause an explosion of costs to build new mega prisons, which it really would. And in fact, the Conservatives have already started to build these mega prisons. I'll go on to the next paragraph here. This is Michael Ignatieff. This bill isn't tough on crime, it's dumb on crime, said Liberal leader Michael Ignatieff. We're all in favor of cracking down on serious criminals, but this bill doesn't distinguish between massive grow-ups and a first-time offender with a small amount. So I'm glad they're targeting it for this. The real reason it's bad is because well, I mean, I don't think anybody, no matter what size, should be going to jail. Definitely not with a mandatory minimum where a judge doesn't get to make a decision. But, you know, if you're a medical marijuana user and you don't have a license and you happen to be growing and they bust you growing over 6 plants with those mandatory minimums, that would have been 6 months mandatory in jail. And a judge wouldn't be able to look at it and say, well, you know, you have MS or you have this disability or debilitating disease and you deserve to use it, or we understand why you're using it. They take that power completely away, so no judge. It's all up to prosecutors instead. So that's really bad. I'm just fiddling around here. I just want to make sure everything's running properly here. Looks good. There we go. There we go. And it looks like we have online right now 25 viewers. It's hit and miss with the live broadcast. Usually this show gets about 1,000 views a week, not including what we get through the live broadcast, which sometimes is 500 views and sometimes it's less. And actually it's been more than that before. But so these liberals, we got to give them credit. We got to give Iggy credit. Contact the Liberal Party and tell them that you support this decision and that you don't want to see non-violent Canadians going to jail, because it's ridiculous. Let me just pick out any other choice quotes here. Here's another one. Canadians know that spending billions of dollars on US-style mega prisons to lock up young people will only produce more hardened criminals. And that was Mark Holland, the Liberal public safety critic. It's a failed American crime policy and it just doesn't work. That's absolutely true. And we know this because a lot of American states have already tried mandatory minimum sentences for drugs, and the effect was that it loaded up the prisons and it bankrupted California for one, and other places. It costs a lot of money to put people in jail. And with our crime rates going down every year, why would we want to put more Canadians behind bars? It doesn't make sense. Violent crimes are going down, but yet these conservatives want to throw people in jail. Doesn't make sense. Anyways, so that is really good news, fantastic news, and hopefully these liberals will go with the party line and will go with their leader, Michael Ignatieff, and not support Bill S-10, but we'll definitely keep you posted. If you go to cannabisculture.com, you'll find out all the latest new information about that issue. So another big thing here, this is on the West Coast, Seattle, HempFest. Seattle HempFest is the largest gathering of marijuana and hemp policy related people, speakers, musicians. It's the biggest one we have. It's a massive event, and there's 100,000 people that show up every year for that. And they do it in a beautiful place called Myrtle Edward Park down on the waterfront of Seattle, and they've done it there for, 20 years now? They're celebrating their 20th anniversary, so they've been there a long time. Now, the city of Seattle has decided that they're going to do some construction this year, and they're going to make an overpass for a walkway to get into Myrtle Edwards Park, and the construction they're going to do is putting the Seattle HempFest in jeopardy. They're not allowed to get their permit to be there in Myrtle Edwards Park at the time they usually do. So the West Thomas Overpass project is this overpass thing that they're doing, and it's going to interfere with use. And so what's happened now is the activists who were running Seattle HempFest were trying to find a new location because the city came up with this information kind of late. And so they've been frantically searching for a place to hold this massive event. And they wanted to go to the Seattle Center and do it there, and there was hope that they were going to be able to get a permit to do it there. But it turns out at the Seattle Center, it's booked up, pre-existing reservations until 2013. So that's bad news for Seattle HempFest, who doesn't have any location to go to now because of this damn construction. So the city has now been dragging its feet. They've been trying to get information as to where the city would like them to go and if they're going to get a permit, but the city's been dragging their feet and they don't want to wait any longer. They are suing the city of Seattle. HempFest is suing the city of Seattle. I'll read you a little bit of their press release here, which you can find on the front page of cannabisculture.com. Seattle HempFest has filed a lawsuit in the United States District Court against the city of Seattle, as well as its mayor, the director of the Seattle Department of Transportation, director of the Seattle Center, and the chairperson of the Seattle Special Events Committee. And they're seeking relief under the U.S. Constitution and the Washington Constitution in an effort, it was filed in an effort to obtain a 2011 permit to produce the annual free speech rally to reform America's laws prohibiting cannabis. Massive gathering. If you can get to Seattle for Seattle HempFest, go to it. It's fantastic. I've been there a few years in a row now, and I have a great time every time I'm there. Hopefully they work this out and they have a place to do this. I'm just going to read you another quote from the press release here. Here's a little bit of the background story. It says here, well aware of the slow-moving nature of the Seattle Special Events Permit process, HempFest submitted its special event application earlier than ever this year, in early November 2010, so last year, hoping for a decision within the 60-day period set forth by law. However, after months of negotiations, HempFest organizers find themselves with neither a date or a venue for the annual Summer Protestival. It's 20th anniversary this year. And this is Vivian McPeak, quote from him. He's the HempFest executive director and a great guy. He says, "It's with heavy hearts that we take this action against the city that we love. We thoroughly wanted to spend the months leading up to HempFest 20th anniversary working on the best event ever. Without a date or a venue, that is impossible." So they are pissed. They need a permit to do this, and I hope the city of Seattle grants them that permit and doesn't try and stifle this. Because really what they're doing is, I mean, it's bizarre. How can you shut down a gathering of 100,000 people? It's a massive protest because of a little bit of construction on a walkway. You think they could have booked it up at some other time of year, at the very least. It just doesn't seem fair, and it just doesn't seem like a smart decision, because people are going to stand up and people are going to be pissed off about it, as they already are. So when it gets a little closer to 4:20 here, we are going to get high and probably smoke out of the bong, smoke out of the vaporizer. My man Darcy will probably be in the background doing the vaporizing up. And if you guys don't know where I'm sitting here, I'm at CCHQ, which is our store in downtown Vancouver. It's an awesome place. I'm sitting in Cannabis Culture's magazine office. But back there is our bong shop, clothing store, bookstore. And upstairs is the BC Marijuana Party. We have a kick-ass vapor lounge up there where you can come in, use the vaporizers, chill out. It's like a speakeasy for weed or something. You know, it's fantastic up there. So if you're in Vancouver, come down here, 307 West Hastings. Come and check me out in the office. Hit up the bong place and go upstairs for some vaporizing. And if you happen to be a Vancouver Island dweller, if you live on Vancouver Island, or if you can make it to Vancouver Island next week, there's an 8-day cannabis event. The International Medical Marijuana Week is coming to Victoria, and it's Ted Smith and Hempology. These guys are amazing activists, non-stop. If you watched the show last week, you probably saw them there, and I guess I should talk about last week's show as well at the Canamed Fair. There's all these crazy cannabis events going on here in British Columbia. So if you're here, come on down to them, and if you're not, try and get here. Let me just see here. I'm looking at you guys in the comments section. Just wanted to say what's up to everybody in the comments section and make sure everybody can hear me and everything's okay out there. If you can't, at any time, if anything's going wrong during our live broadcast, you can always join the comments, join the chat, and I probably not often enough, but I should look back at the comments more often. All right, everybody, thanks. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, so anyways, the International Medical Marijuana Week, crazy stuff going on in Victoria, 8 days worth of events. They're going to play movies, there's going to be speakers, there's all kinds of stuff going on. And it ends with some speaking going on. Kirk Tusaw, John Conroy's there, Chris Bennett will be there, and I'm going to be speaking there on Sunday, February 20th, so this weekend. So yeah, if you're in Victoria, there's information. It's not up on Cannabis Culture yet, but it will be after the show. I will post the latest information on International Medical Marijuana Week. Don't miss it. And we'll definitely be covering it on CC. So if you can't get to any of these events I've been talking about, there's always coverage on CannabisCulture.com and probably other websites as well. But yeah, you can check out most of the stuff I'm talking about on the show in the show notes, which are the top story right now on CannabisCulture.com. And I think I saw Darcy back here. Darcy, what's up? He's going to be manning the volcano and getting us high in about 5 minutes here. Blue cheese we're smoking. So, I don't know what people are smoking out there. Does everybody have their weed ready to roll here, the green? What are you guys smoking out there? If you're smoking something delicious, tell me about it in the comments section. And also, I did promise a few weeks ago that we would start doing a Show Your Grow thing on the show. Now, I've been getting your mail. I do have a bunch of Show Your Grow stuff to show you guys. I'm not going to do it today, but I promise that on the next episode we will have a segment, at least a small one, where I'm going to show you guys some pop porn. You're going to see some nice bud shots, and it's some of the stuff that you guys have sent in. So if you have pictures of nice buds or whatever, any kind of pop porn to send me, any beautiful pictures, send me that stuff.
Camera, take some photos.
Yeah, take some photos of your stuff with your digital cameras and send that in to me at jeremiah@cannabisculture.com. And anything else you want to send me, story ideas, whatever else, get it to me at that address, jeremiah@cannabisculture.com. I don't know if anybody notices, but my voice is feeling a little bit hoarse. So I'm just going to quickly grab a drink out of this little fountain we got here, which is right now being protected by a kitty. And you guys got to see this. This cat constantly chills here. That kitty always sits there right next to the water fountain, and he just loves watching the water dribble out of the thing. He just loves that. He just watches that. He's up here all the time, whacking at it, batting at it and stuff. It's pretty hilarious. And that's Curtis. Whoa, that is Curtis, our house cat. Curtis and Joey, we have 2 house cats downstairs and 2 more upstairs. So if you're in the neighborhood, come down and check them out, yo. All right, water.
Too many bong chops.
Nice. So Darcy, what's up, brother? I don't know if Pot TV audiences, if you're a long-time watcher of Cannabis Culture videos, Pot TV stuff from long ago, you probably recognize Darcy because he's been around for a long, long time. I was just watching some old classic Pot TV videos featuring the man himself here. Toker's Bowl 4, that's what it was. Toker's Bowl 4 in Vancouver, an event that we don't do anymore that we really, really wish we could.
Yeah, thank you, police departments of various countries and affiliations. Particularly the DEA.
Yeah, exactly. Now, and well, it costs a hell of a lot of money to run a Toker's Bowl.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, Mark Emery, the Prince of Pot, is the guy who made all of this possible and has, made this broadcast itself possible. This store is his empire, and he was the one running those Toker's Bowls, and he was using cash that he was making selling marijuana seeds. Made a lot of money and gave it all back to activism and pot-related events, really built the cannabis culture around here. And right now Mark's in jail. Usually we have a little bit of info about what's going on with the latest with Mark. Jody can't be on the show today because she is visiting Mark in jail. And yeah, Mark is doing okay. He's been a little depressed lately. So if you're out there, please send Mark Emery a letter. If you love Mark, please send him a letter and tell him how you feel and just tell him what's going on in your life. He loves to hear what's going on with everybody. Because when Mark is here, he's constantly chatting with people, talking to people coming to the store, smoking bong rips with them, talking to people on Facebook all the time, and he really loves his fans and fellow activists. So if you can, send him a letter. Go to cannabisculture.com. On the front page, there's a big banner across the top that says send mail to Mark Emery. So hit that up and send Mark some messages. 418, we're just about there. I'm going to load up this bong. Now I've got some watermelon here, and let's see, this is a juicy nugget of watermelon. Oh yeah. Yeah, exactly. This is my little jar here. So this is what I'm smoking. Darcy's got the blue cheese going on here.
Blue cheese.
Alright, check this out. Cool little jars. And these jars are all available at CCHQ, 307 West Hastings. Check that out. Nice. The jars are available, but the weed itself you can't buy here. In case the DEA is watching.
Yeah. No cannabis available.
That's right.
We're working on it.
Yeah, well, maybe one day. But you can buy cannabis at 7 different locations in Vancouver. There's 7 medical marijuana dispensaries. So if you happen to have a debilitating disease and use cannabis as a medication for that, you can have a doctor recommendation for you, and you can get cannabis in Canada here. Not just in Vancouver, but in lots of places across Canada. But
also, if you're an international visitor, the dispensaries in Vancouver will recognize your card from out of town in most instances.
Right.
If you have problems, come to the store. We'll send you to the right dispensary.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of cool people at those dispensaries too. And if you are a medical marijuana user, or you wish you were, they have tons of information there about what the different strains do for people. And I was just talking with a physician actually on the phone recently, who was looking for information about them, and he uses them for his MS. He's a retired physician, and yeah, he's going to be hooking up here in Vancouver, but he was looking for information because even doctors themselves don't know. It's not easy. I mean, the internet now, it makes things a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah, but it's not something Health Canada regularly puts information out on. The beneficial effects of cannabis. And if you're in the U.S., it's even worse. I mean, your government's even more anti-cannabis.
That's right. The federal government.
Federal government. I mean, there is a lot of good state and city governments in the United States in various locations. Oregon, California, a bunch of other states, but those are the 2 best known.
That's right. There's 14 different states now. And actually,
Alaska.
There's, what's crazy is, this leads right into what we were going to talk about on the show today. In a few minutes, I'm going to bring on over the phone, Jeff Steinborn. He is a 30-year attorney who's been defending marijuana cases, trying to get people off for being arrested for pot crimes. An awesome activist, really good guy. He's working with Sensible Washington in Washington State, and he has co-authored a initiative, a new one, to legalize in 2011 in Washington State, which is so awesome.
Was that the watermelon or was that?
That was the watermelon.
That was nice.
That was the watermelon.
That was nice. It did not taste like the blue cheese.
So let's see what people are doing out here. Are other people smoking stuff? I don't know what everybody's doing here. Watermelon. Ugh, watermelon. Barry Cooper is the man. Barry Cooper was on this show a few weeks ago. Barry's actually, and I should give Barry props.
Barry's cool.
Barry is a cool guy. Barry's such an awesome guy. He's an ex-narcotics agent who basically turned from the dark side and has become a Jedi now. And he is helping people never get busted. And he has his own show now, the Never Get Busted live show, which is I'm not sure if he's doing it every single Tuesday, but he's going to be doing it Tuesday evenings. And it's on the front page of Cannabis Culture. I believe he starts it at 5 Pacific time. That's when he did it, his last show on Tuesday. And if you didn't get a chance to check it out, you can check out the Never Get Busted show. It's on the front page of Cannabis Culture right now under the features section if you scroll down a little bit.
Fantastic tips on how to avoid negative police encounters and how to deal with police should you encounter them.
That's right. And Barry is an ex-narcotics agent who was really well known for that, highly decorated. He knew all the tricks that the cops knew and still knows them, and that's how he's helping people like you get off your pot charges. Or, if he's selling these Barry cams now, which I happen to have one in my pocket. Might as well talk about this. Barry sent me a cool Barry cam. You know what? I thought I had it in my pocket, but maybe I don't. It's a keychain. It's small enough to fit in my pocket anyways, and it's a BMW keychain that has a little camera in it that you quickly click and it starts recording. So if I run into the cops and they start harassing me for my bud, I'm not a medical marijuana user, then I can record my conversation and I can actually upload that to Barry's website, and he will consult for a small fee. He will give you consultation on what to do, that kind of stuff. But Barry, I know Barry personally, he's not in this stuff for the money. Barry is just a really good guy who wants to help people, and he loves cannabis and loves the community. So, check out nevergetbusted.com, and of course, Cop Busters is Barry's little baby that he's been in trouble for. Tons of information about what he's doing at nevergetbusted.com. The vapor bag.
Blue cheese.
Oh, I still haven't taken my bong rip. I mean,
you're double fisting here. Doing a little bit more of that cheese.
If you guys, I don't know, some of you guys may have watched the episode of my show from a few weeks ago that had information about how to get the most out of your vaporizer. It's kind of I based my show around an article written by Matt Murnau, who also has a Tuesday live show on the front page of Cannabis Culture, and Chris Goodwin, who runs Vapor Central in Toronto. And they wrote this great article, and you can find that on Cannabis Culture. You can find it in my old show. If you're wondering how to run your volcano properly or the other kinds of things you can do with it, tons of cool info there. I didn't know that you could put a bunch of wet bud in the volcano, stems, roaches, anything.
Roaches work but taste really, really gross. If you're going to do that, you need to change your bag afterwards because it will permanently destroy the taste of anything else that you put after.
That's right, roaches. That's the thing with the vaporizer is it really enhances the flavor of pot when you smoke it or when you vaporize it. And the same thing happens with roaches. Unfortunately, it enhances that flavor, but roaches don't taste very good, so you can definitely taste the dirt.
Yeah. Well, roaches have all the tar and byproducts of combustion, which make the cannabis smoke taste bad in the first place when you're smoking it. I mean, when you're smoking weed, what's getting you high is vapor. The radiant heat from the ember is vaporizing the THC trichomes on the outside of the cannabis surrounding the ember. The thing is, you're wasting about 30% of what's there. So, while fun, these bong chops are rather inefficient.
Right, it's true, but you know why I like the bong? It's fun because it just gives you that whack on the head. Like first thing in the morning when I take a bong rip, it's just like a punch in the face. Yeah. It's a cannabis conk right to the head, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, the only thing more satisfying than a bong and harder hitting than a bong is a schnozzwazzler.
Schnozzwazzler.
Yeah.
Explain. I only smoke hash, somebody says here.
It's a glass chillum set in a cork with a 2-glass bubbled glass thing. It's got a balloon on one end. So you blow into the double glass bubble with a balloon on the end, fill the balloon up, pinch the balloon off, get a joint going in the chillum, stick the joint into the double glass bubble, with the cork. It forms an airtight seal. Your cherry will be on the inside here. You let the balloon go, and it force feeds air through the joint. Smokes a whole joint, about a gram joint, in roughly 30 seconds, and it just domes you.
Right.
You're destroyed after it. Like, you're done.
I've seen a similar contraption. I don't know if it's the same one, but Guppy had a crazy contraption where that he puffs through that burns a joint in like 1 minute or something.
Yeah, it's probably Schnockball's one.
It's pretty
They're
awesome,
available
man.
through the Cannabis
Massive.
Culture website. Very, very.
Boom! You just get this crazy hit all at once.
Oh, it's destructive.
And we're using a Volcano vaporizer. We should give Volcano props.
Oh,
that's
props to Strohs and Bickel. Germans. Can you say
Germans.
I love them. They build great stuff. Everything's super well engineered.
No kidding, it's true. I love my Volcano. I have one at home that I use, and I use it every day. And somebody wrote in the comments that it doubles their weed. Absolutely. Yeah. Since I've been using my Volcano on a daily basis, my weed goes way further.
Yeah, it stretches your weed like twice as long. In some cases, it can cut your consumption by about 50%, just because you're getting 30% more minimum out of your weed when you're not burning it if you're using a vaporizer.
There's Justin cruising by. Justin is a staff member of CCHQ. You can come down, ladies, and check him out anytime. But he's not single, unfortunately,
Yeah, he's not single, and they're not swingers, so SOL, unfortunately.
Sorry, ladies.
Sorry.
But okay, I guess we should give Jeff Steinborn a call now, and we should talk about this Washington initiative to legalize in 2011. So let me quickly set this up. Not only is there the Sensible Washington Initiative, they just got their number, by the way. They filed the papers, got their number, so Jeff's going to talk about that. But there's other stuff going on in Washington State to try and legalize. There's a House bill and a Senate bill, I believe, and both of them, one of them is for concerned only with medical marijuana, and the other one would legalize one is medical marijuana dispensaries, I guess it would legalize, but the other one is that they could sell pot in liquor stores. There's a House bill to sell pot in liquor stores, state-owned liquor stores in Washington State.
That's sensible. I mean,
yeah, I think so.
I've been advocating for this for most of my adult life. The major complaints against cannabis, at least in terms of the public, are that children, and by that I mean people under 18, have access to it.
Yeah.
And, that it's done in and around areas where there are kids. So the most sensible solution, at least in my mind, is open vapor lounges, public areas, in locations that are away from, schools and children, like this location here on Hastings and Canby.
Right.
And get it going. It'll get people off the streets. It gives them a place to come. It gives them a sense of community.
Exactly.
The city and people in the city will start seeing that the cannabis users of their community aren't people to be feared. We're very happy, calm, collected people.
That's the number one argument for legalization is if you really want kids to stop getting drugs, you have to legalize them. You have to regulate them and control them so that the kids don't get them. Yeah. The kids aren't getting cigarettes and alcohol. They have a hard time getting it.
It's easier to score cocaine and marijuana in most big cities than it is to get a pack of smokes if you're underage.
And the kids, of course, the kids do still get the smokes and they still do get the liquor, but it makes it a lot harder for them to get it, right?
Yeah, at least there's a degree of control there, and the government can say it's doing its part.
Right.
At this point, all we're doing is throwing money at a problem and, in effect, making it worse. When you destroy someone's future for simply possessing a plant, there's no sense in that. You basically destroyed their ability, at least in the States, to work a reasonably well-paying job.
Yeah.
In many instances, in many states, you destroyed their ability to get education further than high school, and sometimes you get thrown out of high school for it. It's just ridiculous.
They ruin people's lives for something that everybody does. You can go every block. There's a place you can buy drugs. You can buy liquor. You can go to a drugstore and get any kind of prescription drugs. You can buy tobacco at any convenience store out there, and you can get coffee at all these damn coffee shops everywhere. The one drug that's actually less harmful than all those other drugs, cannabis, that's never killed anybody, that's been proven time and again to be a pretty much harmless drug.
Yeah, all of recorded medical history.
That's the one they're going to ruin your life and throw you in jail for. It just doesn't make sense, does it? It's all switched around.
Up until the 30s, cannabis was commonly prescribed.
As a medication, and we're glad to see that coming back again.
Fairly shortly, there will be a museum located at our store that will have displays showing all of the products that used to be containing among other things, opiates, cocaine, cannabis, other psychoactive compounds, and these were all things that were prescribed by doctors back in a time where pharmaceutical companies didn't have as much control as they do today. And the number one reason cannabis is illegal, at least in my mind and from the research I've done, is so that pharmaceutical companies can make their money.
Right, exactly. Well, there's a lot of reasons. All those industries make money because hemp can be used for just about anything, and it would replace a whole bunch of them. Anything that is a renewable resource, they don't like these things. The companies that control things now don't like renewable resources. No, but you know what? We should get Jeff Steinborn on the line here. We're going to talk about Washington State's legalization effort. So let's give him a shout right now, and we'll see if we're going to play with the sound here, and hope this will be loud enough for you guys out there. We had Matt on the show the other day, and it was pretty loud. Hi, is Jeff around? Yeah, this is Jeremiah from Cannabis Culture. Thank you very much.
While we're waiting, some cheers?
Yeah. More vapor. Now, maybe I should position this thing a little closer. We're trying to get you guys to be able to hear everything. Awesome. And if you guys can't, let us know how the sound's going, and we'll try and modify things a little bit.
I can hold the phone right up to the mic if need be.
Hi, Jeff. How you doing? This is Jeremiah from Cannabis Culture.
Hi, Jeremiah. How's my volume level here?
You sound pretty good to me. We're just actually running a vapor bag in the background here, so that'll the volcano that'll be off in just a second. Yeah, but yeah, we'll play with our audience here. Luckily, we have a live chat feature with our audience, so if they're having problems hearing you, they can report right back to us, and we'll find out about it pretty quick.
All right, there we go.
Very good.
Awesome, Jeff. So thanks a lot for coming on the show today. I was setting you up. I was telling them all about the legalization initiative in Washington for 2011, and that you co-authored, didn't you?
I'm one of the authors. There's about 5 of us. Douglas Hyatt is probably the lead dog in this fundraise.
Right, cool, man. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you guys are doing there and what you had in mind and what's going on in Sensible Washington?
Forgive me for cutting you off. We're doing what we think the elected representatives can pull off. There's a couple bills in our legislature that would either one to legalize and put it in liquor stores and another to broaden and clarify the medical marijuana. We don't think the legislature is medical. We get it that one. We don't think just as with alcohol prohibition, we think people have to do it. That's what the initiative process is about here in Washington. We just got our initiative number today, initiative 1135, and what it does is simply removes the criminal penalties from any adult engagement with cannabis, manufacturing, sales, distribution, using, possessing, carrying, name it. It doesn't make it legal for people under 18 or give it to people under 18. It also instructs the legislature within about a 3-month period from when the bill becomes effective to enact civil regulations if they choose to do so. I'm sure they will. They've got plenty of ideas about that. That's the plan. We hope to have it on the ballot in November of this year. We think that we've got the numbers to make it pass, and we'll get rid of this stupid prohibition.
Cool, man. So you guys have been working on this. This isn't the first time around. You guys have done this a few times now, or
that's our second time.
Second time.
And we tried last year. We had some adversaries who, for some reason, who knows why, the ACLU didn't think it was time, and they put some pressure on our funders, so we had no money this year. We're going to do it with or without money. We got a head start. We got more volunteers. We're better organized, and we hope our opponents will join us. But we're doing it in 2011 right now.
Excellent, man. And so, I guess, is it all states that, I guess not all states, Washington is unique in the sense that it can have this in 2011? Or is this something that other states can do? I'm Canadian, so I'm not really 100% sure that
I'm not an expert on that, but I think most, if not all, the states have the initiative process by which the citizens can put something on the ballot. And it's good because, as we know, elected representatives tend to be kind of timid about controversial stuff like this. It takes them a long time to catch up with their constituents.
Yeah, it's true. And so you guys have already submitted the forms, and now you got your number. That's right, you said. What was the number again?
Yep, that's at 1135.
1135.
And so we'll have volunteers all over the state collecting. We think
That's right.
That's why Mark is doing his 5 years, and Michelle was put on probation before she passed away. So the feds are a problem for us, as you know, and what they're going to do, we're not sure. We're hoping that they will get the picture that the states have the right to do this, and they'll allow us to do it from state to time.
Well, and the pressure must be on the Fed now with a lot of other states, California last year, and some of the other states that are going to be doing it in 2012. They must be coming up with policies or figuring something out. I mean, I hope that Obama stands by sort of that same thing he's been talking about, letting the states decide for themselves, but I guess we'll see, because we've seen a few instances where they haven't really been following that either.
It's true, and nobody really knows how to read if the handwriting's on the wall, we can't read it. We don't really know where Obama's going on this one. He has said that he's ready to respect the states. At the same time, there have been a number of federal raids on what would be statewide legal dispensaries under federal law. So we don't know what to expect there, but we're hoping they'll respond appropriately.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, that would be fantastic if Washington was the first in the union. To be so cool, because we're right over the border here in British Columbia. We could just cruise down there.
I'd feel a lot safer going to the States.
Wouldn't that be something? And we'd be proud to be the leaders. It'd be wonderful.
No.
No, we have some other news since we got your listeners listening. My office roommates, Doug Hyatt and Dave Arganian, just about an hour ago, won a medical marijuana trial in Vancouver, Washington. And it was quite an important case, but because they used an expert witness to justify what is more than the presumptive number of plants, and they tried it to a judge and won. That's a tough one. We're kind of celebrating. I think that's maybe the first victory of its kind in the state. We're real happy to see that there's some judges out there that are ready to respect our medical marijuana law, although, again, we feel that the final goal here is the legalization of cannabis, at least equalization, equal rights for pot smokers and tobacco smokers and alcohol drinkers.
Exactly, man. So now you guys, for this initiative, you guys have a big billboard now, don't you? Up in on the I-5 there?
Yeah, we got a billboard down in Fife on I-5. Was sort of semi-donated to us. I'm not sure how much longer it's going to run, and it just, it gives our information. Sensible Washington, at the time we put the billboard up, we didn't know what our initiative number would be. Now we have a number. And we're soliciting help, signature gatherers, money contribution, whatever. We think we can do it.
Well, so what's the best place, I guess, sensiblewashington.com is the website, or .org?
I think it's .org. Sensiblewashington.org is the website. There's a lot of information there. I can't keep up with it. Maybe the youngsters who are more familiar with the web than I can keep up with it a little faster, but there's a lot of stuff going on there. Something new every day. And if people are interested in participating, there's ways through the website that you can get involved.
Very cool. Now, do you guys have any tricks up your sleeve, or is there anything coming up that to sting them again, like this billboard, that kind of stuff?
Well, being straightforward is the most deceptive thing of all these days. Everybody expects tricks. I think we're just going to move ahead with what is a real clear message, and then, your listeners all know what the message is. We all know what the evils of cannabis prohibition are and how much trouble it's causing. And I think we're just going to move ahead with that message. That our numbers say that 51% of the population supports us. And of course, we anticipate that their enemies are going to come out of the woodwork. What I call the patrons of prohibition will come out of the woodwork if we get this on the ballot. We're going to hear stuff about how it's the gateway drug and it has no medicinal uses. But I think we're at the point now where these things aren't just a matter of opinion. Some of these things are so clear that when people say things like that, we can just say they're lies. They're not just mistaken. These are lies. It's not a gateway drug. There is a medical use for it. It's not dangerous. These things are just lies. And so hopefully we can meet these opponents and persuade the undecided. And there's a lot of undecideds out there. We can do this. And if not, this time, by God, we'll do it till we get
fantastic, man. And maybe we should talk about some of the other stuff going on there. So you guys have your initiative, but there's two other bills. One's a House bill and one's a Senate bill, if I'm not mistaken. And those are, one's for something to do with dispensaries, and the other is for legalizing in liquor stores or selling pot in liquor stores. Is that right?
That's correct. That's correct. And each of those bills has its strengths and its weaknesses. And as a sensible Washington member, and in my own personal opinion, I will say these are good things they're doing, but we're not sponsors. We don't oppose them, but we're not. At least I'm not supporting them either. As to the liquor store bill, I don't think it can pass, for one thing. And if it did, I'm really not sure that I want the state to decide, what kind of cannabis I can buy and what its purity is and what the price is. I kind of had enough of the government involved in that. And as to the dispensary bill, I read it as carefully as I can. All I can say is this is a great bill for lawyers. It will provide so much work for us lawyers that will be kept employed for years to come. And whether that's a good social policy or not is another matter. I don't think it is. I don't think it's a good bill. I think, it's kind of trite to say it, but I haven't found a better metaphor, but redoing the medical marijuana bill is like rearranging the deck chairs in the Titanic.
Because legalization's coming.
It's just not going to work. We know it's a good medicine, but in terms of the way our laws handle medicine, that's not the way to handle it. You've got millions and millions of law-abiding citizens who use it every year who are not patients. They don't want to go to a doctor to get permission. They're using it for the other reason. And the medical law doesn't accommodate them at all. So I can't say I support it other than, sort of tongue-in-cheek to say that sure as hell will create a lot of good work for me.
Right, and so, Jeff, explain what you mean by that. How does it make more work for lawyers? What exactly would it do to do that?
You look at the regulations about who can grow and how to get permitted and how much you can grow and who can be your patient and who can't be. As I read through it, it gave me a headache, and there's no way a citizen's going to be able to tromp their way through that and figure out what to do. And of course, the downside under the current enforcement policies is if you make a mistake, if you read the law wrong, if your lawyer gives you the bad advice, you become a felon. They take everything you own and you go to jail or prison and become a felon. One of the things that I've advocated, continue to advocate, is if we're going to have this law where there's so many gray areas, where it's not clear what conduct is prohibited and what conduct is permitted, it seems to me we got to explore the edges of that law with the civil law, not the criminal law. By that I mean dispensaries, for example, dispensaries in Washington. There's a lot of them. It's not clear whether they're legal or not. I got a bunch of clients coming into my office who, unlike the clients I used to have, didn't think they were breaking the law. They're just law-abiding citizens who think they've complied with the law and they're doing their best. And all of a sudden they get busted. Well, if the state doesn't think they're complying with the law, why not start a lawsuit? Say, okay, we're going to use cease and desist. We're going to have you come to court. We're going to let a judge tell you whether your conduct is legal or not legal. And after that, if you don't stop, then we're going to prosecute you. Now, to me, in a free society, that's the way you handle this issue. But it's not being handled that way now. And so, that's the circuitous answer to your question is it's going to take lawyers to help citizens figure out as best they can how to use this law without going to jail.
Right. Wow. So I guess neither of the other initiatives then are getting your support on that.
Well, I didn't say I was going to vote against them, but I'm not going to support either one of them. But they're not initiatives; they're bills.
Bills, yes. Sorry.
I'm not going to support either one of them. I understand where they're going, but it's just not my goal. My goal is to do it different, and I think only the citizens can do that. I don't think the legislature can do it quite yet.
Right. Cool, man. Well, I wanted to ask you about, with all the stuff going on in Washington State, how is the press treating you guys? Are you getting positive reaction from the press on this stuff?
Well, this is the dispensaries and about the ambiguities in the law, and how everybody, including the cops, the prosecutors, everybody would like to have these laws clarified. And the press seems pretty responsive to that. It's not as sexy as dead bodies and that sort of stuff, but we get a little bit of good attention from the press.
Yeah, it seems to me like overall, since California and since all the stuff that's been happening in the last few years, the press has changed at least a little bit. They're featuring more of our drug policy experts who are just have been trying for years and years and years to get through. I don't know, maybe it's the internet as well as sort of pushed that stuff forward with places like the Huffington Post and stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, here in British Columbia, our press is it's seemingly getting better, just a little bit by little bit, and so hopefully that continues. Has there been a lot of talk since you guys filed your initiative in the mainstream press, in the newspaper?
Well, we haven't got a lot of coverage yet, but I think now that we've got a number, which is today, we're going to start to ramp that up, and we'll see a bit more attention being paid. I hope you'll take it seriously. The press on this subject, they cannot restrain themselves. When they talk about pot, there's got to be a pun in the headline somewhere. They just can't resist it.
Right, it's true.
And I think they dismiss and they trivialize a very serious issue. I don't know what your numbers are in Canada, but last year in the United States, we busted almost 1 million people for pot, 950,000. And in this country, it really screws up your life. You can't get a job. You can't get credit. If you're under 21, you lose your driver's license. If you're fighting with your spouse over custody, you lose custody. I mean, it's really, it's an economic death in some ways to almost 1 million people a year, and most of those are good law-abiding citizens. So, I see some urgency to this issue, I guess. And I sure don't think it's something to make puns about.
Right. Now, Jeff, you have a first-hand, obviously unique perspective when it comes to this stuff because for 30 years you've been a defense attorney.
About 42 years, pal.
42, my goodness. I knew it was over 30, but my goodness, and you've been doing cannabis stuff the whole entire time?
Well, I did a year of draft work, and after the draft, after the war ended, I switched over to pot case, and I've been doing that ever since. I really like the search. I like the clients, obviously. It's a way you can do criminal law, and you don't meet a lot of criminals. Most of my clients are pretty ordinary people. I like the issues, search and seizure, the Constitution, that sort of thing. I enjoy that kind of work, so it's a good little niche for me. I've been doing it all this time. I don't know what I'll do when we win this war, and it's legal. Hopefully I'll just retire maybe, huh?
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, and I guess it'll be fighting in other states maybe. One step at a time.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised me if it's like dominoes, at least on the coast states. And although, interestingly enough, some of the Midwest and interior states have got a real laid-back attitude about pot, at least if you're a user of it.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say what's going to happen. I want to see the first state go down. I'd like to see it be us, and then we'll just see how sensible our country really is.
No kidding. Well, Jeff, can you explain the bill itself a little bit and what exactly it will do, how it works, that kind of stuff? What's in the bill?
Well, it's very simple. It simply, rather than affirmatively doing anything, it simply removes a number of statutes that have created criminal penalties for doing various things with cannabis. Removes them all, other than distribution to minors. And so that's pretty simple, and it instructs the legislature to pass some regulations, and we don't presume to tell the legislature how to pass those regulations. They're in the business of making regulations, and they're good at it. We've been told by several legislators that they've got a number of different schemes they considered, and it wouldn't take them long to come up with some regulations. What that means, I don't know. They may decide to put it in the damn liquor stores for all we know, but we can put at least that much in their hands once the threshold question of legality has been established.
So can you explain to me what an alternative, so the one they're proposing is state-run liquor stores would control this and and have total control over exactly as you said the strains and all that stuff.
Government's never grown good weed.
Yeah, but so what would an alternative that you would like to see be? Like, how would it operate exactly? Anybody would be free to open a dispensary, that kind of thing?
Well, I think they ought to drop it out of airplanes once a week on every block.
Oh shit!
Oh, that would be
Exactly.
a beautiful.
Okay, sorry, I can't say that. There's various lesser alternatives. For example, in Washington, only hard liquor stores, grocery stores can sell beer and wine and tobacco. And it seems to me that we might want to regulate it at that level, at the level of retail outlets where there's competition. There's incentive to have new varieties and price competition, that sort of thing. I think that's we're a capitalist country, and I think capitalism works pretty well, especially in a substance that it's pretty hard to get a monopoly on, especially now thanks to Mark. It's pretty hard to get a monopoly on this stuff, and I think capitalism and cottage industry works pretty well. And I guess I'm not optimistic enough to think that we're going to be able to distribute it like apples and oranges and lettuce and tomatoes. Although, in my mind, that wouldn't be a bad way to go. The thing that I'd like to see is I'd like to see some regulation as to purity, because I don't want to offend anybody, but there are some growers out there who don't seem to care what they put in their plants.
No, offend them. They need to be offended. They need to learn to flush their weed properly. No one wants to smoke radioactive fertilizer.
No kidding.
They need to learn, and I appreciate that, but I'm afraid that I'm not ready to trust every one of them to look after my health, although most of the folks I've met I would trust.
I mean, ideally, I'd like to see a provision where people, you could go to some kind of outlet that was government-run, that have, in an ideal world, a selection, but there also be a provision for every adult in a household to be able to grow X number of plants, let the government decide on X.
Well, I would think that if we're going to legalize it, that certainly they're going to have to accommodate those of us who want to grow pot. And once it's legal, we can start growing it outside because there's not such a big danger it's going to get ripped off.
Exactly.
You can have a professional come in and set your grow room up so you won't get mold in your house.
There you go.
And all the associated problems with grow shows, like the associated two biggest problems with grow shows, mold and house fires. Yeah. If you have a qualified electrician do your wiring, you're not going to have a problem with house fires. And if you have a qualified air conditioning company install an air conditioning and ventilation system, you're not going to have mold issues.
By the way, Jeff, that's
and if it's legal, you can do that. And just like anything else you're doing in your house, it makes good sense to me.
I mean, people are growing vegetables, flowers, all kinds of stuff in Vancouver in their basements with hydroponic systems. And in some cases, they're having the police kick their door down because the police are tracking their hydro bills.
Yeah, and there was.
Well, I know, and that's nothing new. It's been happening around here for about 30 years. I even at one point there's a thing called the Indoor Light Gardening Society of America. For a while, I had some communication with them because they're mostly little old ladies and little old men growing orchids, bromeliads, and stuff like that. And they were starting to get scared to go to a store where you buy your lights because they didn't want some.
Yeah, and you have the cops follow you home. Like DA or someone follow you home.
No, it's brutal. And, that's the problem with the drug wars. It turns ordinary people into criminals. One way or another.
Well, exactly right. That's one of the problems. And also, if you want to talk about the problems of the drug war, that's a broader subject. But, I think the patrons of prohibition know exactly what the results are, and they want them. We know what those results are. Number one,
yeah, exactly.
A big black market. Folding money in the hands of people who are essentially outlaws who don't pay taxes. My clients would like to pay taxes and be regular citizens.
Well, Jeff, I was going to ask you, somebody mentioned in our little comment section here, ask him about Bill S-10, which is our Canadian bill that the Conservatives are putting forward right now that includes mandatory minimum sentences for nonviolent marijuana offenses, including like 6 months for 6 plants, 18 months for extracting hash or making baked goods. So, what are mandatory minimum sentences?
If your conservatives have not learned the terrible lesson that we've learned here with mandatory minimums, then they really aren't fit to hold public office. I'm sorry, this is beyond debate. It's not a matter of opinion. Mandatory minimum sentences have a terrible effect
Yeah, sadly, he's the prime minister. Unfortunate.
Well,
He's never
I'll stick by my guns on that one.
That guy's got a stick so far up his butt.
Yeah, well, and you know what's crazy is that both of our parties, our opposition party, supported that bill as well last time, and luckily at the last minute the government prorogued our parliament because they were running away from accusations of torture that our government was responsible for in Afghanistan. So luckily they're hiding on that, killed the bill, and now this time around we just found out that the Liberal Party of Canada has now opposed Bill S10, so hopefully that will kill it and we will not have these mandatory minimums. But it already passed.
Oh my God. That's terrible. I mean, we've fought them like mad down here unsuccessfully.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and they cost so much money. I mean, it just
bogs down the legal system.
Yeah, just bankrupts. That's really, I think, the point, though, is they want all this money for their contractor friends who are building the prisons, maintaining them.
Not to mention all the labor you got out of the workforce in prisons.
Prisoners are a great commodity, and prisons are, inflation-proof growth industry, non-polluting, and so if you get a prison in your city, that's great. You got jobs, and everybody's happy except the prisoners and their families.
Yeah.
So that's one of the forces in this country, in the United States, that operates to make the prison industry expand, and that we're just now getting wise to the fact that we can't afford this, what it's doing to our society.
Yeah, you guys have all the private prisons down there where Mark is. It's totally a privatized thing, and everybody's making cash all the way along the line.
Yep.
Yep. Well, prisoners are commodity. There's a great old book put out by the Prison Legal News called The Selling of America. CELLING of America. It's a great read because it really looks at the prison system through, I don't know if you call it Marxist eyes, but through the eyes of an economic analysis, viewing prisoners as a commodity. And it really helps you understand what we're doing down here. It's a big commodity. We're the largest jailer in the world, the United States. We have a quarter of all the world's prisoners with 4% of the world's population. Good business.
Yeah, it's not like 1 in 8.
Hope you guys don't catch that disease up there. You've got such a nice country.
I know. Yeah, it's slowly disappearing under this damn conservative government, but hopefully we can put the pressure. We've really been, I think, lately we've been working overtime and putting the pressure on these liberals to actually stand up for what's right, and seemingly they're starting to do that, but we'll see how that goes.
Well, it does take some doing to get the liberals to stand up. We call the ones who stand up down here progressives instead of liberals.
The liberals are sort of lacking solid leadership.
Yeah, too. Unfortunately, our Liberal Party isn't very progressive,
and they're a little bit politically, they're a little weak right now. Too.
They're much like the Democrats, not the good Democrats, but the major down there. Our Liberal Party tries to model itself after the Democratic Party in a lot of ways, but sadly they end up supporting the government on all these tough on crime propaganda approaches they take.
Which is just
I'm not really sure why, but
we're going to spend more money to try to fix a problem.
The polls down here, the Democrats are really pretty good about drug policy, but if you look at numbers, under our Democratic president, there have been more pot busts than there were under our Republican presidents.
Yeah.
So, who knows what the answer to that one is. I don't have an answer, except the people know better. And now, do you folks have an initiative process in Canada, yes?
We do have an initiative process here, but it's extremely hard. We have to have signatures from every single riding, and they make it very, very difficult to get it passed. We did have success, though. There was a successful one. The HST, we had this tax they tried to put in, and they fought it through the initiative process, and that's happening now. So we'll see how that. It's pretty tough, though. We've talked about it before in British Columbia, trying to get an initiative through, but it seems like it's a pretty lofty goal.
Yeah.
Well, then hopefully we'll get it done down here, and something will spread northward across the border to help you folks out.
That'd be fantastic. Oh man, it would be so great. Now, we were talking about capitalism and that kind of stuff, and I know of the California situation with Proposition 19. They complained a lot about donorship. There wasn't really a lot of large donors or people donating enough in time to really push for what they wanted in California. But how about you guys in Washington? Does that play into what's happening there? Is that as important in Washington? And do you guys have any big donors?
I think it will be important when it comes to if it gets on the ballot. You can be sure that our opponents are going to pour a lot of money into spreading
Right, exactly. And when the media starts really paying attention, it becomes a focal point in 2011 because there's nobody else doing it. There's going to be a lot of attention on you guys. So hopefully that's a lot of positive attention. And if, for all the viewers who are watching and listening right now, go to sensiblewashington.org, and if you have a bit of extra cash, please donate it to them. They could use every little bit they can get. And if you live in the Washington area, if you're around Washington there, live in the state, please donate your time. Volunteer with these guys. Help them out. Do you guys have a big volunteer force, Jeff? Has that been a good thing?
We got a huge volunteer force, and we're pretty darn well organized, too. We've been at it for quite a while. And we got our computer experts setting up the the networks and the wikis and that sort of thing. It's beyond me. But, yeah, we're real well organized, and we're going to get on the ballot. We're going to do it.
Yeah. That's fantastic, man. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. It's just totally awesome. Yeah, and we're going to keep watching this issue, and we'll be talking with you again, Jeff, and other people from Sensible Washington soon. Thanks a lot for coming, man.
Thank you. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Yeah,
Take care.
So that was Jeff Steinborn. He's director, or he's working with sensiblewashington.org. He's a co-author of the Legalization Initiative for 2011. And so, yeah, go to sensiblewashington.org and check this place out. There's a press release on the front page of Cannabis Culture right now about them filing their 2011 initiative. You can check out more information about them on Cannabis Culture. And we're going to definitely keep you guys posted with everything that's happening with Sensible Washington and the 2011 Legalization Initiative. I'm really excited about it. Yeah, Washington. I go to Washington State all the time. My grandparents, my cousins, everybody lives in Washington. Tacoma, Washington, baby. And so I would love to go down there and chill out, I always thought that British Columbia was going to be ahead of its time, and we would be the pot haven forever, and we would legalize before anybody else.
If they're going to do
these American states
before we do in Canada,
isn't that crazy?
I might have to move.
Yeah, no kidding. I know. Just a few years ago, everybody was like, "Oh yeah, well, I'm moving to Canada."
But legalization, I can remember, I used to work in the store, and all the people were like, "Oh man, I want to move to Canada. It's going to be legal. It's going to be legal," and it sort of happened and then didn't.
Yeah, I know. Well, hopefully, if Dana Larson becomes the the premier of British Columbia, then he would legalize in the province of BC. He would find a way to basically legalize marijuana. So that'd be great. So if you're an NDP member, or if you are in British Columbia and want to get involved with the political system here and help the pot movement, you can go and volunteer for Dana's campaign. Dana Larson, look him up. He's the former editor of Cannabis Culture. He's one of Mark's proteges. He's founded, basically I said this before, Dana's founded everything that Mark hasn't. Yep. The seed bank, the dispensary, all the stuff in Vancouver that has to do with pot. So help Dana's campaign. I'm just trying to think of anything else to cover.
Are we past the sign-up date for NDP memberships? So that
we're past the date where you can actually sign up to become a member of the NDP, so you can go and vote in the election to make Dana the leader of the BC NDP. But you can still help out, and you can still join the NDP and take part in all that stuff. Yeah, and I'm going to take this bong rip now, and I guess that's going to be how we'll finish the show off. And I wanted to give big props to the Canamed Fair organizers. Had an excellent time at the Canamed Fair last weekend.
Good time.
Tracy and Sita, thank you very much. It was awesome. I hope you guys come back again next year, and if you guys didn't get to see that, anybody who's watching now didn't get to see our broadcast from the Canamed Fair, CannabisCulture.com, scroll down, you'll find it there.
We're going to do a bong shop, I'm going to do a vapor bag.
Nice.
And that's how we'll end the show.
Yeah.
You beat me.
I just couldn't wait. Jump the gun.
That's all good.
Oh man. Yeah. See the bong. This is my high guy. I have a high guy. Made in Canada.
Guy rocks.
I'll show you the logo here. Now, okay, is this true? I don't want to start any untrue rumors here.
Ask the question. I know a lot.
China.
No. The high guys are all Canadian.
They're still made in Canada?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no.
That was a nasty rumor then.
I know the owner of Puff Pipes, Moss, and he was running the store on 16th back when I first moved to the city, so I got a chance to meet him. He's a cool guy. And no, High Guy is still very much in Canada. He lives an hour outside of Vancouver, and he's still very much making anything with the High Guy logo is made in Canada. It is red eye glass that a large portion of their merchandise is made in India or China. Which is unfortunate. I mean, their glass is stuff coming from those countries. It's good quality when compared to the other stuff coming from the countries.
Right.
That being said, you're taking the work away from locals who are master craftsmen at what they do, who make a better quality product for a much similar price. You might pay.
This one's 36 inches tall.
Big boy.
That's Princess. It's a little filthy at the moment, but yeah, I like my High Guy, and we support Canadian glass.
Canadian glass.
Canadian glass. Woo! But anyways, guys, I guess we should wrap it up. We're at just about 10 past the hour here, so another decent hour of Cannabis Culture News Live. Now, I'm not sure. I don't think I'll be broadcasting the show next week because I will be in Victoria speaking at the event there. And if you check the front page of Cannabis Culture, you'll find more about that particular event and the entire week's worth of events that's going on in Victoria, which sounds really awesome. So check out Cannabis Culture for more on that. And but I'll keep you guys posted on what's happening. And if we're not back next week, we'll be back in 2. So, all right, guys, peace.
Keep smoking in the free world.
That's right. Keep smoking. Peace, y'all.